Hey there! Mantary79 here, and I'm back with another deck profile video for the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game. In today's video, the deck profile I'm going to be doing one for is V standard formats, Kagero's Dauntless Dominate Dragon Reverse. Alright then, let's get started. For the main deck, we begin with the starting unit. Starting unit, grade 0, Lizard Soldier Conroe. Starting unit, grade 0, Lizard Soldier Conroe. Like any other starting unit in the V standard format, it features only one skill. When written on top of, you may draw a card, and if you're the second to ride to grade 1 during the fight, you may also add a quick shield to your hand. And with that, we just about covered the deck's starting unit. Next, let's get on to the grade 1 lineup. And now for the grade 1 lineup. For the grade 1s in this deck, we have 4 Dragon Knight Hishats, 4 Lava Flow Dragons, 4 Flame of Hope Eremos, and 2 Dragonic Gaius. The grade 1 Dragon Knight Hishat. Its skills are: the first skill, as a rearguard, when called, you may counterblast 1 and soul blast 1. If the cost has been paid, you can then draw 1 card and retire an opponent's rearguard in the back row. So if this first skill, as long as you're willing to pay for the half the cost, you can use it to not only clear out an opponent's rearguard in their back row, but also to draw 1 card, making this a good card to wipe out opponent's field as well as to restock your hand. And the second skill of Hishat, when written on top of, you can then check the top 5 cards of your deck for a grade 3 and add it to your hand. So if this second skill, if you've managed to write Hishat as your grade 1 Vanguard, then ride on top of him by the next turn, you can then have the chance to add a grade 3 to your hand with this second skill, making Hishat a great card to have as your Vanguard or rearguard. The grade 1 Lava Flow Dragon. Its skills are: the first skill, as a Vanguard or rearguard, when written or called, you can check the top 5 cards of your deck for a grade 3 and add it to your hand. If a card was added to your hand by this unit's skill, you must then discard 1 as the cost. So if this first skill, it makes Lava Flow a basic grade 3 searcher for the V standard format Kagero decks. As long as you don't mind discarding 1 card in your hand when using the skill, you can then have the chance to add a grade 3 to your hand by checking the top cards of your deck with this unit's first skill. And the second skill of Lava Flow, as a Vanguard or rearguard, during your turn, if you have more rearguards than your opponent, then during that turn, Lava Flow gets plus 5,000 power. So if the second skill, if you've managed to clear out your opponent's field of rearguards and restock your deck, your field of your own, then Lava Flow can serve as a 13,000 power attacker from the front row or a 13,000 power booster from the back row. The grade 1 Flame of Hope Eremo, a must-have for V standard format Kagero decks. For his skills are: the first skill, when boosting, this unit gets plus 3,000 power till the end of the battle, making Eremo a 11,000 power booster from the back row. And the second skill of Eremo, the main one, as a rearguard, during your turn, whenever an opponent's rearguard was retired, you may pay the cost of retreating Eremo from your own rearguard. If the cost has been paid, you can draw 1 card and countercharge, making this a good way to not only restock your hand, but also to refund your counterblast for later skills. The grade 1 Dragonic Gaius. Its skill is, as a rearguard, whenever it boosts a grade 3 unit, you may counterblast 1 and move Gaius from your rearguard to the soul. If you've done the cost till the end of the battle, the boosted unit gets plus 1 critical, but it loses the power it receives from being boosted by Dragonic Gaius. So with this skill, it's more or less mainly to prioritize powering up your opponent, your own Vanguard, with plus 1 critical, as long as you don't mind losing the 8,000 power boost from the back row when you move Gaius from your rearguard to the soul. And with that, we just about covered the deck's grade 1 lineup. Next, let's get on to the grade 2 lineup. And now for the Grade 2 lineup. For the Grade 2s in this deck, we have 3 Berserk Dragons, 4 Break Breath Dragons, and 4 Turret Cannon Dragons. The Grade 2 Berserk Dragon, its skills are: as a Vanguard or a Rear Guard, when placed on the field, you may Counter Blast and Soul Blast 1. If you've done so, then you may retire one of your opponent's Rear Guards. And if a Vanguard Berserk Dragon activated this skill, you may draw 1 card. So with this first skill, it's a standard retiring ability, but if you have the option of riding this unit and then activating its skill, you can also draw 1 card to increase your hand. And the second skill of Berserk Dragon, when attacking, if you have more Rear Guards than your opponent, till the end of the battle, he gets plus 3000 power. So with the second skill, Berserk Dragon can also serve as a 13,000 point attacker from the front row. The Grade 2 Break Breath Dragon, its skills are: the first skill, as a Rear Guard, after attacking, on the turn that you've retired one of your opponent's Rear Guards, you may retreat Break Breath Dragon from your Rear Guard. If the cost isn't paid, you may draw 1 card. So if you're the type who managed to wipe out your opponent's Rear Guards before attacking with your Rear Guard Break Breath, as long as you don't mind retiring him from your own Rear Guard, you can draw an extra card to your hand to increase your hand size. And the second skill of Break Breath Dragon, when ridden on top of, you may retire one of your opponent's Rear Guards, but if your opponent has no Rear Guards to retire, you may draw 1. So if this second skill is mainly used as a Vanguard, if you've managed to ride Break Breath as your Grade 2 Vanguard and ride on top of him later in the next turn, you have the option of retiring your opponent's Rear Guard, but in the event that your opponent has no Rear Guards to retire for this second skill, you can draw 1 card instead. So either way, whether or not your opponent has or have any Rear Guards during the time you ride on top of Break Breath, it's almost a win-win situation for this unit as a Vanguard. The Grade 2 Turret Cannon Dragon, its skill is: as a Vanguard or a Rear Guard, once per turn, you may Counter Blast 1 and send a normal unit from your drop zone to the bottom of your deck. If the cost isn't paid, you may retire one of your opponent's Grade 2 or less Rear Guards, and after retiring, if you have 4 or less cards in your hand, you may draw 1 card. So with this skill, Turret Cannon can allow you to retire your opponent's Rear Guards, return cards from your drop zone to the deck, as well as let you draw a card, making it a pretty almost multitasking unit to use if you want to either wipe out your opponent's field, restock your deck, or to increase your hand size. And with that, we just about covered the deck's Grade 2 lineup. Next, let's get on to the Grade 3 lineup. And now for the Grade 3 lineup. For the Grade 3s in this deck, we have 4 Dauntless Drive Dragons and 4 Dauntless Dominate Dragon Reverse. The Grade 3 Dauntless Drive Dragon, one of the main Grade 3s to ride in this deck. Its skills are: the first skill, as a Vanguard, after attacking, if its drive check have released at least 2 or more normal units, then till the end of the turn, one of your front row Rear Guards gets plus 10,000 power. So if this first skill, in the event you don't get triggers, you can still have an option of giving one of your front row Rear Guards plus 10,000 power, almost making up for the fact that if you don't get any triggers in your drive check. The second skill of Dauntless Drive Dragon, as a Vanguard, once per turn, after attacking, if you have 4 more cards in your hand, you may discard 3 from your hand. If the cost isn't paid, you may restand your Vanguard. So with the second skill, it's more or less a restanding skill for your Vanguard. If you are the type to hold on to a lot of cards in your hand and you're willing to discard them to use this skill. And the third skill of Dauntless Drive Dragon, when ridden on top of, then the new Vanguard inherits Dauntless Drive Dragon's auto abilities. So if this third skill, it's more or less like a break ride. Since the Grade 3 or higher unit that rides on top of Dauntless Drive inherits all of Dauntless Drive skills, that means the first skill of powering up your Rear Guard when you don't get any triggers, and the second skill of restanding after attacking, making this a very powerful Vanguard to ride and to ride on top of. The Grade 3 Dauntless Dominate Dragon Reverse, one of the other main Grade 3s to ride in this deck. Its skills are, the first skill, as a Vanguard, when your drive check reveals a normal unit, you may counterblast 1. If the cost has been paid, place the revealed card on your rearguard circle as lock. And if you've done so, then your Vanguard gets plus 10,000 power and plus 1 drive until the end of the battle. So with this first skill, as long as you reveal a normal unit in your drive check, and if you're willing to more or less pay a counterblast and to put the revealed card on your rearguard as lock, you'll be able to not only power up your Vanguard, but get an additional drive check, thus giving you more chances to reveal triggers in your increased drive check. Then the second skill of Reverse, as a Vanguard, at the end of the battle this unit attacked, you may Soul Blast 1. If the cost isn't paid, unlocked all of your rearguards and also retire those unlocked cards. If you've done so, for each of those retired units, your opponent performs choose 3 of your rearguards and retire them. If 2 or more cards were not retired, choose a marker from your opponent's rearguard circles and remove it. So with this skill, if you've managed to wipe out your opponent's rearguards beforehand, when you activate this skill to retire your own locked cards, your opponent will be forced to retire rearguards, and if they cannot meet the required quota, then they'll be forced to remove a imaginary gift marker from their rearguard, making it a good way to clear out your opponent's imaginary gift force or imaginary gift XL. And with that, this is about cover the deck's grade 3 lineup. Next, let's get on to the trigger lineup. And now for the trigger lineup. For the trigger line of this deck, we have 4 Angry Horn Dragons, critical triggers. 4 Embodiment of Spear Tars, critical triggers. 4 Wyvern Guard Berees, draw triggers. And 4 Dragon Dancer Nastasias, heal triggers. The grade 0, draw trigger, Sentinel, Perfect Guard, Wyvern Guard Beree. Like any other Perfect Guard in the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game, it features the same skill and activation. When used to guard with, you may discard 1 card from your hand. If the cost has been paid, then the attack that this unit is guarding against is completely blocked. The grade 3, heal trigger, heal guardian, Dragon Dancer Nastasia. Her skills are, the first skill, when used to guard with, any of you have not yet ridden to grade 3 during the fight, you may activate one of the 2 effects. The first effect, you may give your Vanguard plus 10,000 power till the end of the turn. With this first effect, it's more or less a good way to stop your opponent from rushing you too early with a large number of attacks from their front row. And the second effect, the attacking unit's critical is minus by 2, so like the first skill, it's to stop your opponent from rushing you too early in the game before you get the chance to ride to grade 3, except this second effect is more or less for stopping an attack that's too high in critical, while the first effect is for stopping your opponent from rushing you with a large barrage of attacks. And then the second skill of Dragon Dancer Nastasia, when called onto the rearguard circle, if you have no cards in your damage zone, you may place the top card of your deck face up on the damage zone. With this second skill, it's more or less a way to stop your opponent from using the damage denial strategy on you. The damage denial strategy is when your opponent avoids attacking your Vanguard, preventing you from having any counterblast to work with when you have to use any of your skills later in the game. With this second skill, you can at least secure yourself 1 counterblast by simply calling her on the field, making the annoying difficulties caused by the opponents using the damage denial strategy on you more or less effective. And with that, we've just about covered the deck's trigger lineup. For the triggers in this deck, we have 8 critical triggers, 4 draw triggers, and 4 heal triggers. And now, after having explained the deck's build and card effects, now we're about to get started on the deck's main playstyle. So for the playstyle of this deck, first we just normally ride up until grade 3. For the grade 3, first you try to ride to Dauntless Drive Dragon and use Imaginary Gift, Force 2, for the added critical effect. Then by your next turn, try to cross break ride until Dauntless Dominate Dragon, reverse. Again, another Imaginary Gift, Force 2 for the front row. And With Dauntless Drive Dragon's third skill, Dominate inherits both the first and second skills of Dauntless Drive, giving it the powering up a rear guard ability as well as restanding. Then fill your front row with decent, powerful attackers. And for the rear guard circle behind your Vanguard, try to secure Dragonic Gaius. Then when it's time for the battle phase, try to attack first. And in the event that you do not reveal any triggers in your drive check like a normal unit, then you can use Dominate skill to place it on lock. And again, another place on lock in the event that the second card you have is not a trigger, using Dominate skill to increase your drive check every time you choose lock card. And then at the end of the battle, if you've revealed 2 or more normal units during your drive check, you can give plus 10,000 power to a front row attacker like the one of the second imaginary gift Force 2. And then, as well as retiring your own locked units, you can wipe out your opponent's rear guards and their imaginary gift, and then restanding your Vanguard once more. Then you can repeat the process of not only attacking multiple times your Vanguard, but in the event that you do not reveal any triggers, you can not only increase your Vanguard's drive check and power, as well as giving your other imaginary gift Force 2 front row rear guard the extra 10,000 power, but also, like I mentioned before, if you've managed to secure Gaius in the back row, use his effect to add another critical to your Vanguard. And then with the +1 drive, if you again revealed a 3rd or 4th normal unit to your drive check, you can then place it on lock again, adding more power to the Dauntless Dominate Dragon in your Vanguard, making the 3 criticals gained from both the Force 2 and the Dragonic Gaius rearguard skill. And then at the end, you can just wipe out your opponent's rear guards with the after battle Soul Blast, retiring your own locked cards and possibly retiring their imaginary gift if they cannot meet the quota of retiring rear guards. And then just try to finish off your opponent with powerful front row attacks with the plus 10,000 power from the Dauntless Drive Dragon. So again, the main playstyle of this deck is the first, right? Your first grade 3 is Dauntless Drive Dragon. For the imaginary gift, use Force 2 instead of Force 1. Then in your next turn, cross Break Ride to Dominate Reverse. Secure a decent front row attacker like Berserk Dragon on the imaginary gift Force 2 in your rear guard. Then when it's time for the battle phase, use both Dauntless Drive and Dauntless Dominate skills to help each other out to not only restand your Vanguard for 2 attacks, but to also empower both your Vanguard and rear guard with extra power and drive check. And with that, it's just about finished explaining the deck's main playstyle. And with that, I finished more or less explaining the deck's deck build, card skills and effects, and the deck's main playstyle. And with that, that's just about all the time we have for today. First off, I want to say thank you to the viewers for watching today's video, and to please stay tuned for more videos I plan to upload again in the near future. I also hope you all show your support by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing to my videos and channel. And with that, I say goodbye and see you all soon.